Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bring Me Life podcast. My name is Silaman. Thank you for listening here today. It's a wonderful day because we have some wonderful interviews. If this is your first time, Bring Me Life podcast is a lot about self empowerment and creativity. We talk a lot about the two and also things that inspire us. Today's episode, Shannon Shine, my other co-host, is going to be interviewing powerful women about some projects that they're working on. These interviews were pre-recorded for Shine Online, so just know that in case you hear a date on there. Other than that, please enjoy. There are going to be multiple interviews happening, so stay tuned in between each one. Thanks for listening. Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on.
So now we're here with my good friend Suki. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I'm excited to have you. Can you tell the Shine Online audience a little bit about what it is you do and offer the world?
So I'm a spiritual mentor and coach, and I have been working in the realms of creativity, quantum success, and healing for several years now. My journey into this came from a very deep space of healing within myself, where I had to do a lot of work with my throat chakra and speaking my truth and sharing my creative expressions with the world, and also a lot of healing in my sacral chakra. I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and so anyone who knows what it's like to have, chronic illnesses or illnesses that are ongoing, it can be very debilitating, and it can actually be it can be very detrimental to your creativity, because you don't feel creative when you don't feel good in your body. So I had to do a holistic health journey for myself. That's kind of my big why. And now I have two beautiful daughters. They're my second and third whys, I guess you could say, to continue to inspire them by being creative and expressive and offering healing to people around the world.
I think that's beautiful. And we've been connected for many years, but you were one of the grounding forces through my healing journey a few years ago when I was doing a lot of deep healing work with my womb and sacral areas as well. So I wanted to give you a shout out for that. And you did help spark like a ignition of the creativity that I knew was within, but I had lost connection to because I was a little frustrated with the world for a while. And it's interesting that you're working with the quantum success version of this now, because I also dove into the word quantum and it had so many different perspectives. So I would love to hear what you have to say about quantum creativity.
Yeah. Ooh, quantum creativity. I hadn't even put the two words together, but now that sounds even juicier to me. So last year I got a download about quantum, similar to what you're saying. You all of a sudden you started feeling this energy, and I was in Orlando and I was in the middle of a hurricane. And during the hurricane, I realized how so much of our time when we're struggling in life, it's because we are trying to go counterclockwise. My husband studied atmospheric dynamics. He's a scientist, and he always tells me about how, hurricanes move counterclockwise. And so the amount of energy that they have to generate to move kind of against the grain when we're so used to going the other way, right? When we're feeling stuck and when we're not in flow, that's when we're trying to move against the grain. When you are in the space of quantum, things move quickly and effortlessly and joyfully and abundantly and infinitely, because you are back in connection with your divine source. So a lot of us are feeling disconnected because we live in a disconnected world. We're living in a world that at every turn you're being cast to look away or move away from your soul and do the things that you're supposed to do and feed yourself into these systems that are very disruptful for your creativity and disruptful for your beingness. They want you to be in your doingness, not your beingness. So in that download from the hurricane, which was a very angry hurricane, and I felt kind of like the anger of Mother Earth during that, I realized that, oh, I'm supposed to help people get back in flow. And I'd been saying in flow for over maybe 2 years, but I didn't know how to better adequately explain what being in flow means. It can mean so many things to so many people. So now I've moved into this word of quantum and into the word of quantum success, which is a different thing as well. We get to redefine what success is, because there's a lot of external mumbo jumbo about what success is. And you can throw all of those things out the window, and you get to redefine what success means for you as a soul.
I love that. And you've been sharing a lot of that kind of downloads that you've been receiving through your different social media platforms as well. And I've enjoyed watching and following. I'm not always commenting, but I see them and they're inspiring. And you've also created a podcast, correct?
Right. Yep. My podcast started in 2019 actually, and I it was just a fun little hobby that I was doing when I was dropping my older daughter to school and back. I would take those 9 minutes that I knew that I'd be dropping her to school and back, and I would just record whatever that was coming to my mind. And slowly I started to build this podcast. It's called Soul Guided with Sukten. From 2019 until now, it's over 65 episodes, including a lot of interviews with some amazing people as well. I definitely am going to have Shannon on my show too. It's been a while. I haven't had you come speak, so you got to come share with my audience too. And what we talk about now is more so specifically about topics that are empowering and igniting to your soul.
I love that. And it's not yet on Bring Me to Life Network, but where can people find your podcast?
Yes, so it's called Soul Guided with Sukten. It's on iTunes, iHeartRadio, it's on Spotify. You can find it on all the major podcast networks. And it's a lot of fun. I do tend to keep them short and sweet too. So my podcasts are still 20 minutes or less, sometimes can be even 8 or 9 minutes, like I said originally, that I would do, because I feel that I actually looked at my analytics too, and I noticed that people prefer my podcasts when they're between 8 and 11 minutes long. So goes to show you sometimes we lose because we're in such a fast-paced world, we lose attention spans nowadays. So you got to just give them the information quickly.
Yeah, it's an interesting realm, the internet. We can connect to so many things, but it does happen so quickly that, people don't often take the time to fully listen. But I'm hoping that, those here listening with us here for Shine Online take a moment and check you out on your different platforms. How else can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, so my website is sookton.com. It's sookton.com. Or on Instagram, I'm Sukten again, just Sookton. I have a monthly membership that I'm offering called Quantum Codes, and that's where we go into the space of the quantum more. And we each month is a different theme. So last month was Flourish and Flow, and this month is all about human design and getting deeper into your personal power. So each month is different, but you will see some massive shifts in your life. I love that I only have a few members in the group right now, but even the few of us, there's like an intimacy that we're creating when we work together to shift our energy. And even just in the few months that I've created this membership, I have people telling me about how they've paid off thousands of dollars in debt. They're in new relationships. Yesterday, one of the girls just told me that she got a $10,000 raise. I mean, it's just one thing after another. So when you step into quantum codes, you're ready to do massive work and massive shifts in your energy.
That's amazing. You've always created such beautiful containers and spaces for healing. So I hope that people take the moment and, like I said, check it out, find your website, find you on social media. Is there anything else that you feel inspired or called to share with the audience today?
What I've been working through this week, and I just wanted to share as kind of a tip is owning your domain, so looking at the greater picture of how you're showing up in this world. And a lot of the times we see things as just, black or white, or we're just looking at this small part of the bigger whole. But you are such a powerful creator and you can create everything in your life. So look at the bigger domain, look at the big picture and say, how can I shift this up? How can I change that up? And maybe there's some things you have to burn. Maybe there's some things you have to destroy and start all over again. And don't be scared to do that, but own your domain.
And I love that you've always been a inspiration to follow the different layers of any one person's domain. There's so many different layers to it. And there for a while, I was looking for, a companion in the growth of the spiritual business world. And everyone's like, niche down, niche down. And like you were very much like, what does your heart say? And what is success to you, even back then? So I love that that's still your message now. And you're reminding people that it's okay to own who you are and all the layers of that.
I used to name myself, I was for a while naming myself a creativity coach, and I was naming myself this, and I was naming myself a business mentor. And then I said, you know what, I'm just a mentor and a coach, and I don't have to niche down to anyone or anything because I offer so much, and I wouldn't want to drive anyone away who would need to work with me, right? And so that sometimes we have this thing about niching when honestly, just be. Just be. I mean, some of the most powerful people, Oprah, Marie Forleo, I mean, even somebody like Tony Robbins, they don't have titles. They're just
They're just
being.
Yeah, they're just doing it. They're being the powerhouses they know they're meant to be, and they're following that intuitive inspiration and what was quantum creativity. They're following their quantum creativity.
I love it. I'm writing quantum creativity down now.
I think that's what we need more of in the world. So I'm grateful for you coming on here and sharing your message with me and Shine Online and the Bring Me to Life community. I hope people go and check out your podcast and reach out to you. And again, yeah, just thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thanks for waking up and shining on. You're listening to the Bring Me to Life podcast. Shannon Shine here, and I just wanted to give you a little heads up that the interview that you're about to hear is actually from our Shine Online event earlier this year. If there's any dates or anything mentioned, it's likely that these projects have already been released, but the content was so valuable and the people are so amazing that I wanted to make sure to spotlight them. So I hope you enjoy this interview. Go check out everything that we have to offer and stay tuned. All right, so we are here in Shine Time Studios. I'm here with my good friend Angie from Wild Roots. How are you doing today?
I am well, thank you.
Yay! I'm so excited and grateful you're here. It's so wild to have you here because last year we were watching together virtually and I was creating and talking to you, and now we're in this beautiful town co-creating events together. And you are such a mama to the coffee house, but something that you love is cacao. And I would love to know more about what cacao is. Can you explain that to our audience?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for having me here with you and allowing me to share some of my passion with you. Let's see. Cacao itself is a pure chocolate, and it is the most pure form of chocolate. It comes from the bean, and I did bring some beans with me. So it comes in a bean, and it gets shucked and peeled, and then gets churned into a paste. And where it is different from actual chocolate is where chocolate is heated and cooled and processed into bar format or nugget format. And cacao itself is not processed in any way or heated and cooled in any way, which makes it ceremonial grade. And so it comes in a brick and it comes in a solid paste form. It then gets ground, so I do have some of it ground here as well. And it doesn't break like typical chocolate. It kind of beads more lightly into a fine ground powder, I would call it. Cacao powder is how you could also purchase it in a store typically. And it is great made in a latte form, which we do at the coffee house. And it also is shared in ceremonial grade style, so in a ceremonial brew, which is a little bit higher dosage of the cacao itself. So it can be served in like 15-gram dosage, which is the smaller like latte style, and it, all the way up to 42 grams, which is a ceremonial dose.
Okay, and you've made lattes for different ceremonies, but you've also made what you call bliss balls, and that's kind of like this very decadent, just amazing. We've mixed it with blueberries and rose petals, and there's like a whole ceremony into creating that too, correct?
Yeah, so I do love making bliss balls, and they are, like you said, yes, they're ground up. The cacao, I use dates and other dried fruits. They are very similar to like a protein ball or an oat ball, like an oat energy ball. But with the cacao, it just gives you that kind of presence to yourself, so you can feel yourself kind of come alive when you eat cacao. And I love to have it in different ways. So yeah, drinking it and then partaking in a fashion of eating it.
Beautiful. So I know when I participate in cacao ceremonies, most often it makes me really creative. It makes me feel into my emotions in different areas. And I've participated in both meditative experiences as well as more like art or ecstatic dance. Do you have a preference, or like how do you enjoy sharing cacao with others?
Yeah, I love to just be present with others to share cacao, but yes, I love to share it in multiple ways. So you mentioned bliss balls, and I love to share bliss balls in partnership with ecstatic dance. I think that the way that it pairs just in your tummy, if you had a drink, it would maybe be sloshing around. So I feel like the bliss balls, they just allow you to kind of express your movement a little bit more, potentially. So you're not like concerned about upsetting your tummy, maybe, if you had a drink, instead of being able to eat it and digest it a little bit faster, maybe. And yeah, so I really love the pairing of the bliss balls and ecstatic dance. Then I also do the ceremonial drink with sound healings. And I love where you get to take an inward journey on the sound healings, because you're very kind of tapped in and tuned in to your body and your heart space, and you kind of left your mind space. And it's kind of an inward journey. And sometimes the ecstatic dance on the other side of the coin, I guess you could say, is like an outward expression. And so you get to kind of share the movement or the flow of the energy that's coming through you. And whether others receive that or it's just what feels good to be shared from you to the world or to the earth itself, is just a really cool expression of like being able to have that outward expression journey and the inward expression journey.
I love that. I've been able to have the pleasure of experiencing both sides of it with you. Shout out to the Gaia Den. We've had some experiences at the Gaia Den with Joni and the sound healing in that meditative experience. And I always get really amazing like visual ideas and inspiration for paintings there. And then at Wild Roots Coffee House in the Pigment Sanctuary, we do ecstatic dances. And that's where I get to feel like my body gets to move, and I get to really tap in with that more spiritual experience. It's almost like a dance church to me. And I'm taking in the medicine of the chocolate, which I really love. The cacao is just like such a pure form of that versus like over sugared forms of that, for lack of a better term. And there for a long time, I was drinking cacao every morning and then going into my art studio. And that's one of my favorite practices, because it just gave me a different kind of body connection. Yeah. So I really love that you do both the sound healing portions as well as the more ecstatic moving portions of the experience. So we've talked a little bit about what cacao is and how you like to share it. Is there anything else you would like our audience to know about the magic of cacao?
Yeah, let's see. I would also maybe just share a little bit about theobromine, which is the active component in cacao. And what that does is it simulates caffeine, where it activates your cardiovascular system and not your nervous system. So you don't get the jitters that caffeine would have from your nervous system being activated. It's more of, again, that presence, or it brings everything kind of online for you and activates, just the awareness around you. And I think that is a really cool way to feel inspired and creative and just allow yourself to be in your heart space and like you said, maybe create art or do things from that centered space. And so, yeah, just wanting to share that there's other things in cacao that are medicinal as well, and it's has a bliss hormone in it, activates, making you happy and things like that. So yeah, it is also very, very good for you is what I could say. But yeah, just grateful to be able to share it also. It is a plant medicine, and I like to partake in the sacredness of it.
Beautiful. And we've talked about bliss balls, which are kind of more of a way to eat it. But is there a way that you would suggest for those that have maybe never prepared cacao before to prepare it for a ceremony?
Yeah. Let's see. I would suggest taking close to 25 to up 33 range, 33 grams of cacao, and grinding it into a powder format. I'd invite you not to use a knife or anything metal against the cacao. Chopping it with wood or a mortar pestle of some sort would be great. And then, mixing it with some water or some sort of liquid milk. I prefer almond milk with a little bit of honey. Warmed up, so whether that's on the stove for you, whether that's blended up somehow at the mixer, but getting the cacao warm with the milk. So whether that's a handheld mixer or like a blender mixer, some sort of way to blend up the hot milk, the cacao, maybe a little bit of sweetener. So I like honey and cinnamon in mine.
Honey is my favorite go-to.
Yeah.
I love some honey. But some people also put like cayenne and like a little bit of spice in it.
Yes, yeah. So when I offer the ceremonial dose, because it's such a high dosage, I do offer a little bit of cayenne in it because it pulls the bitterness out of it. Okay. So if that calls to you, definitely honey, a little bit of cayenne, some liquid, and the cacao.
Beautiful. So here in just a moment, we're going to take a break, and then you're going to guide us in a short intentional ceremony. Before I invite people to do that, is there a place that if people feel guided and have maybe never tried cacao or want to try the cacao that you enjoy, where can they find it and support you in your cacao journey?
Yeah, I definitely have a link that is available. I have been trained through the Keys Cacao organization, and so I've sat with the ladies who pick the beans in Guatemala, and I have a link and a code, and it's just at keyscacao.com/discount/positive balance.
Okay, we'll make sure we put that in the comments. We'll put that on the
Yes.
video and find ways for people to make sure they reach out to you. But you actually got to sit with them and experience the cacao bean in person?
I did. I took a training of 8 weeks long that was able to, virtually part of it, yes, but got to see them and experience the connection of them harvesting the cacao, the sacred medicine.
Wow, that's so beautiful. All right. Well, if there's anything else you wish to share, I'm going to invite the audience to enjoy this music while they prepare their cacao. And
Perfect.
if you don't have cacao, you can also try tea for
Yes.
the time being and just bless it. Any sort of liquid that you said a blessing to has a higher vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And we would love to share that with you. So we'll be right back. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that music and had a chance to get your drink ready. Hopefully you have some delicious cacao. And if not, you'll be getting some very soon. But Angie is going to guide us in a short, intentional ceremony to help bless our drinks. Are you ready for that?
Yes, thank you.
Yay! All right. Let's do this.
All right. Well, I will just invite you to this space and begin to close your eyes or maybe soften your gaze if that feels nice. This meditation is intended to be paired with having a heart practice of cacao. I invite you to hold your cup of cacao in your hand. Maybe you have a tea right now. And just be present with the cup of cacao. You can feel the warmth in your hand, maybe. We work with cacao to connect to our heart and to connect to the subtle energies present within us and around us. We use this space to settle, to connect, and to balance. Now I will invite you to put one hand over your heart. Be beginning to touch or have contact with yourself. Feeling your heartbeat, the pulse. Your unique life force. How it's moving through your body. You can feel your heartbeat. By placing one hand on your heart, you are honoring yourself, your presence. And as we return to center, we can honor our center as our heart, this place of balance, of truth, of harmony. Just feeling your heartbeat in your hand. Maybe letting it take you on a journey of feeling, of sensing. Maybe noticing its speed, its rhythm, its own life. Connecting with this part of your life, physically, emotionally. Continue to hold your hand on your heart. Maintain awareness of the heartbeat, but simply add in the layer of your breath. Noticing your inhale and exhale. Can you feel where your breath goes? Can you feel its path through your body? Can you sense a merging of breath and heartbeat? Two vital rhythms that are constantly at play. Two cycles. Two foundations of your existence. I invite you to lengthen your exhale. Just taking a few conscious breaths, noticing the breath coming in, flowing out. Cacao is the perfect invitation to set up a meditation, to set up a yoga practice, to inspire dance, movement. We work with cacao to connect to our hearts. Honoring cacao as a home practice can look different for each of us. I'll just invite you to take some time and space with yourself and allowing whatever creative expression feels good to you to be shared with the world, to be shared with others, maybe just to be shared with your own space. Inviting you to just express. I appreciate you sharing space with me today. Send you all love and light.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Angie. If you have not yet and you are listening, please feel free to open your eyes. Enjoy your cacao or your tea. And I just want to thank Angie for being here and guiding us in that beautiful intention. Again, people can find you at the link that we're going to have available. They can purchase cacao for a future ceremony and come back to this stream. You might not be able to watch it live, but you'll be able to watch the replay and get the good vibes from it. So I hope you enjoy the rest of Shine Online. And is there anything else you would like to share at all before we hop to the next segment?
I would just love to express some gratitude for y'all for having such a neat space to share modalities and creative expressions. And thank you for holding space for all of us that want to express. And grateful for you.
We're grateful for you too. And I also want to give a shout out again to Wild Roots Coffee House. It's become one of my favorite places in Princeton. It's also home to the Pigment Sanctuary. And if you're ever in Princeton, West Virginia, come check it out. You'll be able to find Angie or CeeLo rocking the counter, making some cacao or coffee or other yummy goodness, and hope to see you there. So we'll see you in the next segment.
All right, so today we're here with Felicia from the Ancient Magic Podcast. You're considered a priestess and a shamanic healer, is that correct?
That is, it's something I've been doing for many, many years. And I think shamanic practices really go hand in hand with what it means to be a priestess and be in tune with the natural rhythm and flow of nature. And that's what I've been doing and love it.
I love that. So you have the Ancient Magic Podcast on Bring Me to Life, and you've been doing this work for quite some time now. Was there anything that really inspired you specifically to get into this line of work?
Yes, so it's kind of a long story, but this started very young for me. And I also work as a medium. And when I was, I think about 12 years old, I had a really close family member pass away. And that family member started to visit me in dreams and give me messages. And I don't think something you can quite wrap your head around as a child, but I shared it with other family members and I could see that it obviously helped me and also helped them, and they listened. And the things that came through that 100% just set me on this path of wanting to learn more and understand what that was about and what it means to connect to the other side. So it started just at a really young age, and then I just honed skills and cultivated it over the years.
I love that. I had a similar journey myself, and I'm so proud of you for being able to share those experiences and being willing to do so on such a public level as well. So you've created the Ancient Magic Podcast, formerly known as Shamanic Living,
Yes.
but you created this journey for your listeners. What was maybe the inspiration for the podcast portion?
Yes. So I love when I'm working with people to be able to give them as many tools as possible after we meet and during our meeting. I just see so much potential, and there's so many beautiful modalities that are out there, working with the plant kingdom, connecting back to nature. And I found that when I was working with somebody, I wanted to constantly give them all of these different ideas and other modalities of helping them move forward. So the podcast was born out of that, of me wanting to give more. And I always try to include a beautiful guided meditation or shamanic journey and really make it a podcast about hopefully lighting up new ideas for people about how they can heal and then practical ways to do it.
Ah, that's beautiful. Yeah, podcasting is such a unique way to share the message, and it's this evergreen content that people can go back and they can re-listen, they can get something different each time. And you have such a beautiful way of laying out the information so that it's understandable rather than overwhelming. When you start doing this spiritual journey on your own, sometimes you fall into the portals of the internet and you can just end up all over. But with a podcast, you can really, again, you can re-listen to it. You can take the pieces that fit for you. And I really love seeing your podcast evolve. You've been doing it for quite a while now, and you do offer other sessions and one-on-one workings too, correct?
I do. I offer what I call priestess healings, and I kept this a very general wide terminology so that I could really tune into what spirit wanted us to do for an individual client rather than, maybe what our ego thinks we need or what, we go in thinking should happen. So it's a really beautiful way that I can kind of tune into spirit and ask, what will best serve this person after we've talked about what they're going through and what they're hoping to achieve. And then I offer soul retrieval, which has been just a beautiful, incredible journey. That's a shamanic practice to help reinstate pieces of soul parts that have been lost for a person. And I've seen just beautiful miracles that way. And I also offer Akashic record readings and work as a medium too.
Beautiful. So, is there any other messages or projects that you're working on that you would like to share with the Bring Me to Life audience at this time?
Would love to. I love to teach so much. I cannot say that enough. And I will typically, because I work as a priestess, meaning that I'm tuned into performing sacred rites and rituals that help us move through the season and different phases like the moon and different stages in someone's lives. So throughout the year, I offer different workshops and rituals that are usually in person where we work with the seasonal Sabbaths. And I also do different online workshops. So right now I'm working on a journey called a priestess activation journey, and that will be helping women specifically and those who identify as female to regain that kind of lost feminine essence that I see happen quite a bit in our culture. So that should be coming out this spring, and I am just thrilled to be offering that.
Yeah, you've got all kinds of good things going on. So I know that our listeners can tune into the Ancient Magic through the Bring Me to Life platform, but where else can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so I've got an Instagram and it is at felicia.s.armstrong. And then I also have my website, feliciaarmstrong.com. And I'll typically post on my website any of the offerings. I have a beautiful newsletter where I talk about the moon phases and whatever offerings are coming out. So if you want to keep in tune with a workshop or with working with me, it's awesome to just sign up with the newsletter on my website. And then I also post to Facebook at Felicia Armstrong Shamanic Healer.
Ah, I love that. So I think that we've covered a lot of the things you offer and you do. If there's anything else that you would like to share with us, or even a short meditation or anything like that, we have a few more minutes here before we hop off. Is there anything you feel
I
guided
love
to share?
that. Yeah, I really wanted to kind of hit home. I think the essence of the work that I do and what I'm really deeply connected into is nature and healing within nature. So I want to offer that to everyone. If you feel like you've gone pretty far in a journey, or if you're just starting, don't forget that piece. The plant kingdom is such a beautiful spot. And I see the plants come in so often for people that I'm working with. And it's almost like we forget about, I think that portion, it's like we have our spirit guides, our power animals, our loved ones in spirit, but we also have access to actually allying with plant spirits too. And that's been just an important message because I've seen such miraculous ways that plants can help us and heal us. So that's something that I frequently focus on when I'm offering workshops or when I'm teaching. We'll usually connect into a plant spirit to help us to shift into the energy of whatever we're going to be working on. So just wanted to throw that out there. It's something beautiful that everyone has access to. You can walk outside at any moment and find wild weeds that can heal you in just miraculous ways.
Do you have a favorite plant you're working with right now?
I think right now, I was thinking about this morning. It's so funny you asked that. Blue lotus is one of my favorite plants, and it's a consciousness altering plant, and it's really gentle and beautiful, and it's so connected to the sacred feminine. It's been a really important plant for my healing, and I've seen it help a lot of others. So if you haven't connected to blue lotus, I would absolutely recommend it.
Oh, and how do you work with the Blue Lotus?
So I typically ingest everything and I make a lot of tea in my house. There's always giant quart jars full of tea all over the countertops. And blue lotus is kind of a stronger plant in terms of how its energy works with us. So it doesn't take a lot, like usually for a big giant quart jar, I'll put maybe a teaspoon of flower petals in it. I'll make an infusion and then I'll drink it and really spend time drinking that tea and like how it feels in my body and what messages I'm receiving. So I really try to be conscious of everything that I'm doing at any moment. And I think it's easy to gloss over eating or drinking. It's something we need to stay alive. But if you really sit and connect to those energies, it's just incredible what they have to tell you.
I love that. So this is your friendly reminder to hydrate yourself and make yourself some amazing herbal teas today while you're tuned
Absolutely.
online or whenever you're watching this. So wow, I
Especially
really
this
love
time of the year, right? When it's a little bit chilly and damp out. It's so nice to have that warmth come in.
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah.
it's something that it took me until my adult years to really appreciate too, is the tea and the herbal medicine that it is. I remember being a kid and just being like, oh, tea's like dirty water. But it's like, no, this is healing water. Like, not that water is not already healing, but it's like that
Right.
next level energy when you do connect with the plants and things that you mix with it. It's a different form of medicine. So I love that you
I
touched
agree
on
with
that.
you. It's crazy because it's like I felt that way growing up too. Like things would be so bitter or so cloying. Like the taste wasn't always great, especially as a child. But as an adult and now understanding the spirit of the plant, when I do get that bitter or any of those kind of odd sensations, I'm like, wow, what is this doing? What does this mean? So I've come to appreciate it a lot more than I did when I was younger too.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for sharing and the reminder to stay hydrated and taking care of
Of
our
course.
bodies. Real quick, what are some other topics that people can find on your podcast?
Yeah, so I'm always talking about different shamanic practices, and I also go into Wicca quite frequently. These are things that are very strongly in my background. So, earth-based spirituality is big. So, I love talking about ways we can do different rituals, the seasonal Sabbats, connecting into different goddess energy, working with the plants. I cover a lot of different topics because these are things that I do frequently. I'm into a lot of different things and I've found healing in so many different areas, but it does come under that umbrella of earth-based spirituality.
Ah, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, I encourage others to go and check out the Ancient Magic podcast and to find you and your offerings. Can you give us that one more time so people can remember?
Yeah, my website is FeliciaArmstrong.com and my Instagram is Felicia.s.armstrong and Facebook page is Felicia Armstrong Shamanic Healer.
Yay. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking time to be here with me today. And
Thank
I
you,
hope we
Shannon.
get to connect again soon.
I do too. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Shine Online. I'm super excited to be here with my friend Brittany Wineland. And how are you today?
I'm doing great, Shannon. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. We've been connected through so many different projects and friends through the years, but now I'm really excited to feature something you've been doing. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've been up to?
Yeah, absolutely. So these past couple years, I've been busy at work. So a little bit of background, I'm a mom of three, and I have a daughter who's 11, and she's of that age of puberty. And back in 2020, I couldn't find any solution that taught the methods, how I really wanted to bring that conversation to the table. So I created Blooming Me. So, Blooming Me is an activity journal to help guide young girls through that time of puberty. It has passages of poetry, coloring activities, and it's really a form that's non-intimidating towards that topic, right? So I wanted it to be lighthearted, I wanted it to be fun, and I also wanted it to be empowering for these young girls because blooming into a woman is such an awesome thing. It shouldn't be scary, it should be fun and brilliant because women are strong, confident, brave, and that's everything that I wanted to show her with this journal. So in it has passages for self-care tips, what to expect when you're going through different changes of your emotion, and really just empowering them to take control of their health during that time.
That's beautiful. So you said that you created this for your daughter, but it sounds like it's going to be just immensely helpful for all of the blooming teenagers of the world right now. Because something I think is interesting is that we don't spend a lot of time, like you said, speaking about this to the generations because it can be scary and intimidating for all involved. And not only do, girls need this, boys need this, or any gender really could use this information to understand, what half of our population is going through when we hit that certain age range. So you said there's activities and things like that. Is there like a written portion or is it all activities?
There is a written portion as well too. So if you go through the book, I'll just pop it open and maybe show you some pages. But it starts with some poetry and a place for them to journal. And the poems are really inspired by what's happening during that time of age. So this one, if you don't mind, I'll read you an excerpt, but this one's called I See You Blooming. I see you blooming, budding like a rose, growing from head to toe. Your clothes are snug, your chest is sore, you could sleep just an hour more. You are always hungry, sometimes feeling sad, but turn around and are terribly mad. What are these new smells coming from me? My face has bumps. It's hard starting this new routine. I see you blooming just as a flower. All of these things will get easier every hour. Don't be worried. All girls experience this change. It's a part of a beautiful process that comes in phases. I see you blooming. Embrace these days. Young woman, you are amazing. Believe me when I say, one day you will forget how hard it was today. So it's really written in such a way where, you know, a young girl could understand how powerful it is whenever you bloom and get your first period, but it's also innocent and playful because we're experiencing a time, this age where girls are maturing a lot faster. They're getting their cycles earlier, they're thrown into really heavy topics early on, and they're not mentally ready there. So they're still in this innocent age where they still want to play with dolls or they still want to be creative and have fun and they don't want to think about these topics, but yet these things are happening to their body and they don't really understand what it all means. So I'm teetering on that line of innocence, but yet owning up to that power and what that means whenever you bloom into a woman.
Wow, that's really beautiful and a powerful message for you to share. And I truly wish that, you know, our generation would have had something like that as we moved into these moments, because it is heavy, it's scary, and so many things do happen at once. And looking back, I don't really remember having a conversation. It just kind of all happened and was like, this is what's going to happen now. Okay, cool. So it's magical that you were able to do this for your daughter. Have you written any other books or pieces, or is this your first published book?
So this is my first published book. However, I did write a children's book. It's not published yet, but this will be a sneak peek, but it's called Balloon to the Moon. And it's a journey about a balloon and where it goes whenever you let it go. But that's a whole nother topic. But I am on that road of authorship. So I'm excited about this. But this project, Currently Blooming Me, is where really my passion and my heart lies, because similar to you, I didn't have that conversation. And I also came from a single father household. So it was really difficult to navigate those topics. And it was just kind of like, I don't know, honey, figure it out. I'm sure you'll do great. So
Wow.
it's something that I feel like a lot of girls don't have that topic. And also the importance of self-love too around it, which is a big centerpiece for this because I was never taught to love myself. And that's a huge thing that's missing. And I think women our age today is that we're having to uncover all of this trauma around self-love and what that actually means. So I really wanted to teach that to my daughter early on. And I have a really fun Instagram page, Blooming Me, where I do self-care tips and really just simplifying it, because self-care doesn't have to be hard. You just have to care about yourself. It's just little routines that you do throughout the day, whether it's honoring yourself when you make a cup of tea or cleaning your space, because your external world is a reflection of your internal world. So just bringing it back to simplicity of just caring for you.
That's so powerful. So do you think that, you know, adult women or anyone would also benefit from this book? Is this something that could help them with their self-care too, even though it's, you know, guided towards the younger generation?
I think so, especially if they're of that age where they're mothers or thinking about having children. And it's really a great conversation piece for mother and daughter. So they can do it together, they can talk about it together, and there's a beautiful place for them to journal as well. So after I go over some of the different topics, it's like, okay, what did I notice in myself today that changed? What are these emotions? What about physical attributes? What has changed? That way they can kind of document that journey as well too. And they can look back months later and be like, wow, my emotions were all over the place, but look how far I've come, and I'm able to manage those. And I recognize what those mean when these waves come about.
Thank you for sharing that. So you said that you have a Instagram page people can follow for this book?
Yes, it is Blooming Me Journal.
Is that where you would like people to find you? Or is there anywhere else on the internet that people can reach out to you about this conversation?
They can also go to bloomingmejournal.com. There's more information there about the journal itself, a place where you can purchase it and get involved within the community.
I love that. And real quick, I did want to ask, how did your daughter respond to this type of experience? Was it informative for her? Is she having like a good, shift into womanhood?
She absolutely is. And I think the biggest difference was I was very transparent about everything early on. I had these conversations, planted those seeds of, hey, this is what to expect, and just really being an example myself too. So whenever that time of the month comes for me, I'm very open about how this is how I'm feeling. These are my cravings. These are my moods. Like, this is what I'm experiencing as a woman. And I think seeing that and having those conversations early on was a really big indicator of her blooming into a strong, confident woman today.
Well, that is exciting to know that the next generation doesn't have to go through the same trials and tribulations. I'm sure that there are still many that are, but we now have tools for them. And it sounds like this is, a great tool for single moms, single dads, or, parents that just don't necessarily have the words for how to express what's happening. So thank you for creating this. I highly suggest for others to go check it. It's bloomingmejournal.com.
Yes.
bloomingmejournal.com. Go check out the book if you feel inclined. Give it a purchase, and we would love to hear what you have to say about it in our comments section. And yeah, is there anything else you would like to share before hopping off today, Brittany?
Just go after your dreams. You're capable of anything that you want to do in life.
It's so good to hear you say that. You've inspired me so much over the years, and it's nice that we've been able to work together on this little bit. So thanks for hopping on here with me today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. You too.